All right. Hello, everybody. It is Daniela here from Matchpoint, and we're here to answer all your burning questions about all things networking and events. I am here with Will Curran. I'm really excited. He is the ultimate event and marketing innovator. Previously, the head of Click at Bizabo and founder of Endless Events, he's worked with brands like Amazon and Google to create the most unforgettable experiences. Host also of hit podcasts just like Event Icons, Will is the go-to guy to call when you want your events and your business to go from good to epic. So Will is here with me to answer a burning question about networking and building events. So Will, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so stoked to be here.
And here is your rapid fire question. What are, in your opinion, the key elements that make a networking event memorable and impactful for attendees?
Yeah, well, I think one of the first things is just be going beyond the simple thinking of like, let's stuff everybody in a room, let's, have an open bar and just expect networking just to happen. I think those days are gone. There's a lot of like we can talk about in terms of like the downfall of people drinking on site at events, the fact that like there's more neurodiverse audiences than ever. There's an ability that you can't just like say, hey, put everybody in a room and expect them to just meet each other. You have to provide them additional resources and kind of ways that they can find out who's in there. So obviously, like with things like Matchpoint, I think it's really important that it's helping you find those people to meet because sometimes you don't know who you don't know. And let's be honest, the best way of meeting people is not just to go randomly walk up to someone and like glance down at their badge and see what their title is and see if it's somebody you want to network with. There's definitely deeper reasons to meet with people. So I think that's one reason why way that you can emphasize and increase your networking that happens at events. I think also additional ways that you can do it is making so you use technology that does again make it easier for people to network. So you start with things like matchmaking tools and AI based tools to be able to help find people to meet, but also too then once you're on site too, we need to start moving beyond this world where we're expecting people to have business cards on site. Post COVID, I think no one carries business cards with themselves anymore, and everybody's leaning on their phones to connect with each other. But the big problem with that is that you're having attendees consistently have to go back to the number one device that's to distract them and pull them away from the event experience that's happening. We've all been there before. We get like 1,000 notifications and we pull up our phone just to like add a contact real quick, and then it turns out that you get distracted and go, wait, what were we talking about? Or just the process of adding a contact takes forever. So tools like Click, I think, really help solve for this. If you haven't heard of Click before, it's KLIK. Essentially, it's a smart badge that allows attendees to connect with each other just by clicking their badges together and instantly exchanging contact information. But not only does this allow the attendee to stay remain in experience, but allows them to instantly exchange contact information. So networking can happen for what's most important, which is that deep conversation that's happening. Because we all know that networking is not when you go around just handing out business cards saying, oh, let's connect, let's connect, let's connect, let's connect, because you're not leaving a memorable impression. And also, too, you're not deep diving into potentially why you're networking even in the first place. So, tools like this allow you to stay in mode of the conversation. So, helping find the right people and then making that connection as easy as possible, I think, are the two keys to increasing networking events in addition to just looking beyond the traditional box that you're used to and crushing it and saying, look, we're not just going to stick everybody in a ballroom and have an open bar. We're going to try to do something different to get attendees to engage with each other.
Yeah, I love that. So, I mean, embracing technology, like everyone is talking about that all the time. And we say that we're going to do it, but like actually go out there and do it. Like event organizers need to use the technology out there to just make it easier for people to connect and meet.
Absolutely.
And you said something like doing things outside of the box to help people connect. Do you have any examples of things that you've seen or something that you'd like to be like to see at an event?
Yeah, well, I think one of the first things that I like to think about, this one's a pretty 101 example of it, but like centering our conversations around topics that people care about and like making sure those topics are like hyper specific. I think sometimes we tend to be like, yeah, who wants to talk about finance? Who wants to talk about marketing? Or, who wants to talk about trends in the industry and keep it very vague when in reality, like people have hyper specific things they care about and they want to talk about. So helping kind of people identify those subgroups, I think is very, very helpful. So that's kind of like a 101 thing I think that can help do in unique ways to be able to bring together. But again, like this is 101, but you'd be surprised how many people, again, don't do this sort of thing. I would say another example of what works really, really well when it comes to networking that's out of the box is creating some sort of activity that requires people to bump into people that they wouldn't normally interact with or talk to. We, I think, are in this unfortunately a bad time and place where I think a lot of people tend to like again look down at people's badges to judge them based on title, company, this sort of thing to understand like, are you of somebody that I can talk to that helps my business grow or helps me achieve whatever I'm trying to achieve? And but in reality, we know that relationships that get built inside of networking sometimes go beyond that and sometimes even enter like a personal level. And what I found is that when you do activities like, let's say, for example, you do an escape room, I would mix
Mm.
people together that have never met with each other and kind of force people to work together and get a chance to like interact with each other and create memories with each other without relying on the badge and the title and the company to know who to network with. That's one quick example I think that works really well. It's very simple and stood the test of time. And the last, like, I think creative idea, like crush the box idea, when it comes to it, is creating it so inside of a time to network, creating it where you can put people in groups. So, for example, this is a feature that Click has where we can light up people's badges based on specific groups that we assign to people. So,
I
this is really
love that.
fantastic where you can do things like, for example, taking a big room that you are doing all your networking within and lighting up all the people who are first time attendees, and then saying to everybody who's been to the conference before and saying, go meet someone who's not talking to someone that has a light up badge that's their first time attendees. Because a lot of times those people have been going for many years want to help advise and kind of shepherd those newbie attendees and make them have a great experience. But and a lot of times too, the new time attendees don't really know who to talk. They're kind of shy. They don't know, you're coming into a new space. It's kind of like going to a new school or the new lunch table, right? And just being like, how's it like? What do I do here? This allows it to break down that really, really fast and to be able to pair those attendees together so they can help each other out. And I think that's just a creative example of being able to identify people into groups and being able to move them very, very quickly and also create that surprise and delight that it makes it so it's kind of exciting. Like, oh, my badge lit up. What does this mean? Oh, all the red
Yeah.
people meet to each other together. Like, I'll use one more example of lighting up queues we've seen really work really well is that we put people on based on groups based on maybe an interest or hobby or a department they're working in, and we would light people up and we'd say, hey, everybody get together, and then we would say like find out what you all have in common, and it almost turns into a game for them to
Mm.
figure out like what do they all have in common and gets them all talking. And what would be ironic is that sometimes people find they have stuff all have stuff in common that wasn't the thing that you originally were pairing them to, and that solidifies that memory and helps people identify more with each other as a group.
I love that. The idea of like the light up badges reminds me of when you go play laser tag and you put your thing on and
Oh
all
yeah,
of
and
a
you're like,
sudden your vest like lights up and you like know who's
I'm
on your
blue
team.
team. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I love
100%.
that. I see where the light inspiration, it's all connected. Your background, the badges. I love it. And like who like I feel like I've seen that idea with like the stickers on your name tag of like you if you have the green sticker, then you have in common with this person.
Yep.
But like
Yep.
lights are freaking awesome and like just woo, like that's
Totally, totally.
fun.
It's fun and
I
exciting.
could
Makes
see
people feel
that.
like a rock
Yeah.
concert.
Yeah. If I could add to your idea list, my favorite thing that I've been reading about is like doing a bingo game. It sounds like meh, but if you actually think about it, I first of all, I personally love bingo, but it's so fun because you have all these like tasks. It's like find someone who's been to 3 countries, find the CEO of a startup. Like you could
Totally.
be so creative with it, and also it could be used in a sea of thousands of people even, but as long as you're checking off those boxes, like you're still engaging in the game.
Totally. The way we do it for Click is that essentially we create a gamification system so you can
There you
gamify
go.
every action that happens with your badge. So like you can reward points for just connecting with anybody. You can reward points for
Mhm.
meeting with an exhibitor, and that's a way to also increase exhibitor value and sponsorship value. But yeah, you can do things like, for example, like that to create those bingo cards and reward points and badges for that networking action. And I think what's cool is that, when you have a system that has the ability to participate and is part of that interaction of people networking, and then you gamify it, you just end up seeing like, massive increases in networking. Like we did a study compared to all of our traditional QR code based badges, and we end up finding that when you gamify using Click specifically an event, you end up seeing a 500% increase in networking because people love gamification
Of
systems when they're
course.
tied to things that actually matter for the event, like networking, session attendance, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, we're still kids at heart, so we
Yeah,
want
exactly,
games.
exactly. Never,
I
never
love it.
ends.
It never ends. I love it. Awesome. Will, I appreciate your time. This is advice from Will Curran. You got to listen to him. Embrace event technology and gamify your networking, and you're going to have a successful networking event. So, Will, thank you so much for being here. And this
Thank
was
you so
really
much.
great.
I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you all out on the interwebs.